What's going on, guys? T-Mart here, and today I wanted to take a look at a few of the SMG changes that have come about in the last couple of days with the most recent patch in Call of Duty Ghosts. So, if you guys don't know, the Bizon, the Vepr, and the CBJ-MS have all been affected, and for the most part, it's in a pretty negative way. Most of these things are nerfs rather than buffs. So, first up, the Bizon. This is the weapon that's been changed the most, and it's been heavily nerfed. So, if you guys remember the patch before this most recent one, where a bunch of the SMGs were buffed, the Bizon became an absolute maniac. It was way too good. No other SMG could compete with it at close to medium range. If you guys follow competitive, you know that everybody was using it, and it actually got banned because it was too good. People were abusing it. So for that reason, Infinity Ward decided to nerf this weapon, and they've changed a couple of different things. So first up, the headshot multiplier has been reduced from 1.5 times damage to 1.3 times damage. And what that does is it no longer allows you to get a two-shot kill with the Bizon. Yes, you used to be able to get a two-shot kill if you got one shot in the body and then one shot in the head. And that actually happened quite a bit because you would aim for a chest, and then this thing has quite a bit of recoil, so it would just pop up and get you a headshot. You'd instantly melt people, and it was just really frustrating. So you can no longer do that, which is a good thing. Now they did change it in a good way. They buffed it in one way, and the sprint in time is now buffed from 300 milliseconds to 230 milliseconds. So what that is like when you're shooting and then you want to, go into a sprint to like run away from somebody, you can do that quicker now. So that's not really much of a buff, but that was changed. The range on the Bizon was decreased overall by about 17% across the whole board. So, it's kind of back to being that, specialty close range weapon rather than being able to, take people out from medium to long range, which is how it should be. And then also the recoil was slightly increased. It's very minimal. It's really not that much of a difference. I can't really tell, just off of feel, and I've looked at, different recoil plots and things like that, and there's not much of a difference. So, there is a slight recoil increase, but not that much. So yeah, the Bizon's been changed quite a bit. That headshot multiplier down is a really big deal. That range decreased by about 17% is a really big deal. Now you have to put a muzzle brake on to make the range what it was normally before. Like, it's pretty crazy how big of a change that is. And honestly, I don't think the Bizon is all that great anymore. Like, I think it's a good weapon. I think it's a good SMG you can do well with, but you definitely want to keep it to those close quarters maps. Freight, strike zone, things like that. You aren't going to be able to do well on those medium to large maps like you used to be able to do. So just keep that in mind. Now, next up for the Vepr, this thing is actually the only one that was solely made better, and I'm really excited about this thing, and we might do another video on this thing. If you guys remember, we did do a killer class setup video a couple of weeks ago on this thing with rapid fire and how good it was. Well, now it's going to be even better because the aim down sight time was buffed from 0.25 seconds to 0.2 seconds, and that kind of lines it up with all the other SMGs in the class now, and it makes an absolute beast. The reaction time on this thing is a lot better now. You wouldn't think 0.05 of a second would make that big of a deal, but it truly does, and it's much more competitive now. So we'll have to wait and see how that works out. We may have another video coming out. And then finally, the last one that was changed is the CBJ-MS, and I don't understand what the idea behind this change was. Like, I really don't understand it at all, because the CBJ-MS was nerfed. Would you guys believe that? Like, it already wasn't the best gun in the world. It did receive a heavy buff in the last patch, and that made it, halfway not awful. I guess that's the best way to explain it, but, it was still one of the worst SMGs in the game. Like, honestly, I'm not trying to be mean to the dude, but he's not very good. He doesn't match up to some of the other weapons, and now he's been reduced. He's been nerfed. He's got a range reduction of about 12.5% across the board, which I really don't get. Like, I haven't even used this thing yet. I don't even know if I want to. I don't know if I want to put myself through that frustration. Like, it literally makes no sense for you to use this weapon over something like the MTAR or the Bizon or the Vepr or, anything else in the game now. So that's kind of disappointing, but I didn't really use the CBJ-MS that much anyway, so no skin off my back, I guess. So yeah, that's what's going on, guys. The Bizon received a heavy nerf with the most recent patch. It's still going to be a decent weapon, but it's definitely going to be outclassed by things like the MTAR or the Vector or maybe even the Vepr now. So if you had a bunch of Bizon classes, I would suggest switching those out and trying something new. Next up, the Vepr was buffed a tiny bit in its ADS time, but even that tiny change, I think, is going to make this weapon that much better. You guys may see a video in the near future. And then finally, the CBJ-MS received a range reduction of about 12.5%, which pretty much makes this weapon useless. It's kind of like a pea shooter now. So unless you want to run around the map with a marshmallow gun, I would suggest keeping away from the CBJ. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. A bunch of great videos coming soon. Check out what we have to visit. See you yet. I put out another video today. The Titanfall DLC came out, so make sure you guys didn't miss that. Peace out.